it gave me wonder and enlightenment to appreciate the things around me. Whereas once I was pushed into Catholic school, I was taught something completely different. And so, being in that environment where I am having to go to a class inside of a church weekly and read the Bible and do the Stations of the Cross and see mutilated people everywhere, and then being told that, homosexuality is a sin, and just I had to have something to prove, so I became this bully, and I became really hateful, and I think that's kind of what's going on in our schools right now, where people are pushing for their religion through their children, is that the children don't understand that religion doesn't actually exist and that it's man-made, and they fully believe because they've been indoctrinated, and so they're taking out their own pain on other people. And that's the type of thing that Christianity likes, is when you take your pain out on other people, because it's enforcing their religion on other people that way. So it's all fear-based, and that's why all of this is extremely bad for children in general. And you're not going to see any type of protections being put out through 45's admin, because he doesn't care about children, and that's extremely obvious. And so, going off on a tangent, but that's what it is. Religion is destroying our society. It's the number one cause of the destruction of our society.
Oh, Sasha agrees, apparently.
Wow, yeah.
Our dog Sasha decided she was going to jump in on that one. So, over to Paige. With the current climate here in Arizona, and the type of things that we see happening down at the Capitol, most of which is really religious-based, do you think that we have an opportunity here in Arizona, because of the 45, to actually start pushing back effectively to maybe even the playing field to the point where we may actually be able to compete against that type of background?
I
In
do.
Phoenix-
I do think.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I'm seeing in our monthly meetings with our LD18 more and more people coming, and people even bringing their kids, and even 18, 19-year-olds coming because they're fearful and they're angry. To speak to what you guys were discussing as far as kids and how to combat the indoctrination, I think there are several ways that you can go about it. Like with my kids, it's hard. You have other parents that are not supportive of the kids. But I knew when my kids were going through elementary, middle school, and high schools, I knew in Arizona that they were going to be exposed to that stuff. My daughter in high school went to a birthday party and called me freaking out because the dad of the child was baptizing kids in the swimming pool. You can bet your ass I flew over there to get my daughter and get the hell out of there. But you have to just support your children and give them confidence enough that they can speak up in situations so that they're not quiet and shy and afraid to say something. It's not easy, but it's a whole lot easier when you have support of your parents. And then as far as fighting it, we are. LD18 turned blue. That's awesome. We got, a Democratic senator, a Democratic county recorder, Democratic House rep, and I think it can, with what 45 is doing now, all of this stuff nearly on a daily basis, it's still pissing people off. People are still going out to marches. People are still asking questions on how they can be involved. And then it's reaching out to these people to say, hey, I was in your place. I don't know much, but I know a little more because I started a little sooner. So here's where you start. This is where you need to call. Go into your local LD office and see what you can do to help. We just got to get these people fired up, and I think it can be done. I really do.
Well, we are seeing a pretty hefty amount of people that are turning out to different meetings. I mean, I know LD18, for example, has gone through the roof with participation. Even out here in you know, the deadlands of Apache Junction, we've gone from, you know, having 4 or 5 people show up at a monthly meeting to anywhere we've had up to 35, 40 people.
That's quite an upsurge.
That's an upsurge for our
Seriously.
district, especially with how red we are out here. So, I mean, we're seeing people that are actually doing stuff like that and are starting to participate. And we're seeing people that are not of a specific political affiliation that are also starting to get involved, not because of political parties, but because they see what's happening. And that's a good plus. You know, I'm very happy to see people that are
Can I chime in real
independent.
quick?
How much money do you have? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I got 2 shekels. No, I kind of want to just chime in on the whole Democrat thing. Democrats are not innocent of holding religion above people. I mean, they're another wing of the same bird. They're afraid to shy away from religion, and I mean, you and Cara are I mean, you guys are evidence of that. During
crazy?
your guys' last campaign, well, no, like during you guys' last campaign, they were distancing themselves from you because the Democratic Party was, because you guys were faithless and because you were promoting equality, and it's silly to think that the Democrats would do that. But when you look back on the history of the Democrats, you know, like they're generally fear-based religion as well. They're not, you know, their inclusion of Islam, even though there's just as much violence through Islam as there is Christianity. Like, you would think that they'd be distancing themselves from all religion and being secular, whereas they're actually trying to continue to include religion where it shouldn't be. Laws shouldn't be inclusive to religion; they should be secular. And so yeah, I don't really see the Democratic Party changing anytime soon to be completely secular.
Well, speaking of secular, now that we're talking about that, May 20th is the next Democratic Party State Committee meeting. And in January, I filed the bylaws and state committee signatures to create the secular caucus in the Arizona Democratic Party.
Woohoo! We got 96
We needed 20 signatures. We got 96.
CJ
Which
Briggle
is
kicked
about-
ass.
Which is about
Congrats.
almost a quarter of the
Thanks.
state committee, or
Yep.
at least a third or something like that.
Enough.
So it's going to be voted on to whether or not they allow the creation of the secular caucus in the Arizona Democratic Party, which will give us a voice at the state committee at least, and the ability to create resolutions to be passed by the state committee, directing our Democratic elected officials to follow. I'm hopeful that it's going to pass, especially thanks to 45 and all the crazy shit that's been happening the past, 3 months. That people are now afraid of the theocracy, and even though they're not going to distance themselves enough from it, they're afraid of it enough that they maybe want to have an idea where, okay, how do we do this, and have people actually concentrating on that kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping that it gets approved by the state committee so that we can actually start having a secular caucus. There's not very many of them in the United States. I think Utah has one.
I think, yeah.
Utah just had one that became official with their Democratic Party a few months ago, and so that's when I got the idea. Well, why don't we have one? So we'll see what happens. I think that it will help us to at least try to get somewhat recognition and somewhat inclusion into it. But I kind of agree with you that they're not going to step away from it because there's too many people that are having faith that they want to try to entice to be able to vote for their people. And, you don't do that by saying, well, we should have secular government. You try to agree with them. And I think it's wrong, but that's just me.
How do you see then politicians being able to get beyond that? There are very few. I mean, you nearly have to proclaim you are a good Christian or a good Catholic to be able to even get elected anywhere. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we do have Senator Mendez, who's an open atheist, who was elected, and Representative Salmon, who's a humanist atheist, who was elected. But they were in specific districts where that could happen. A good friend of ours, James Woods, who ran for Congress in CD5 back in 2014, was very open that he was an atheist, and he took a lot of flack for it. There were people that liked what he had to say but would not vote for him because he was an atheist. And honestly, I mean, if that's the type of people you are, that you love what they're saying and what they want to do, but you don't believe the same way I do, so I can't vote for you, I think we need to kind of adjust that. Now, in 2016, we had 9...
It's called discrimination.
Yeah, we had 9 secular candidates in Arizona in 2016, which was epic. That was like the only state that had a huge slate of atheist, humanist, non-secular candidates. And, you know, Athena and Juan Mendez won, but it was kind of projected that they probably would because they didn't really have any, once they got past the primary, they didn't have any real opponents that had the votes to be able to challenge them. So, I mean, that was good for them. But I think that we're starting to see around the nation secular believers that are starting to run for office more often. So I think that we can build the movement to do that. It's just going to take time. But the question is, do we have enough time to do that before the place is destroyed? You know?
We don't have a choice.
Well, yeah, we don't. I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, are we going to be able to continue pushing long enough to where we are not completely enveloped with it and destroyed by it? You know what I mean? I mean, really, if they want to go see Jesus, then please do, and leave the rest of us here, because we might be able to get some stuff done.
Yeah, don't wait. I mean, don't wait on us. Just go. Please.
Well, I don't, you know, it just kills me because you know those politicians don't believe a word of it because they don't live ethical, moral lives like they claim to. And yet these people voting for them, they somehow think they are. They're that blind and that ignorant to the truth, which is absurd to me.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good point, and I don't want to get completely off topic, but it's kind of like all the people, the low-income people that voted for Trump that are going to lose their health care. It's the same thing. You put all your eggs in one basket thinking, you know what, I don't know if this is actually the real deal, but I'm kind of sick of my lot in life right now, so at this point I'm going to hope that this is better. And then you take a chance and you fucking lose. It's like going to Vegas and putting all your money on the craps table and losing.
Crabs have tables?
Yes, crabs have tables. Have you not seen SpongeBob?
No. I don't watch that crap.
Patrick the Starfish?
Don't know what that means.
Oh, huh? Anyway.
What the hell are you talking about?
She's talking about some cartoon or something. I don't know. Just something. I think the pineapple with the margaritas in it is probably kind of going to her head.
No, I'm just sort of kind of being a dick, but I mean, I'm just...
Sort of, kind of? Really? You're going to go there?
I just did.
Yeah, I know.
Do you guys not remember the whole push for SpongeBob being a catalyst for homosexuality?
I have no idea what... I don't even know what SpongeBob is aside from a cartoon. I really, honestly...
He lives in a pineapple under the sea.
Okay, I don't care if he lives under a pineapple under a sea. Okay? He's a sponge.
And he's apparently gay.
Oh, well, so was Dumbledore, apparently. So, him and Grindelwald had a little thing going on. At least...
That's called a duel.
Well, there are duels, and then there are duels. Okay? So...
What are you, the Dos Equis guy there?
And there are duels
and there are duels. Okay, we just totally went off kilter.
Yeah, we just went way in a totally different direction. So we've got about 10 minutes before we do our PSAs and move on to our next session. So let's start with Paige again this time. What do you think, say, in the next couple of months, what kind of things do you think we're going to see that's going to affect the secular community?
Oh, hell, a lot. so the vouchers, that's a huge thing right there in Arizona because they're